the nerve muscle systems that we monitor. All right? At this point, we need a volunteer, a male volunteer from the Richmond class. Wow, give him a hand just for volunteering. Mr. Zellickson.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Zellickson, why don't you roll up? Southwest, we're going to try and have you watch this. If you can't see it that well, don't worry about it. The audio should be all you need for this experience, okay? So when you go to the OR, you'll see something like this, some approximation of this. Let's see, which one goes up higher? This one does, I think. All right, now. We're turning it on. And we'll turn it on, and let's try. You ready? Is he breathing? Take a deep breath. Big, deep, cleansing breath. Come on. Cleansing breath. There we go. That's good. Okay, here we go. Feeling anything? Yeah, I didn't want you to. Now we're going to dial it up. Gritting his teeth. You felt something, right?
Yeah.
Now just hold it off here. Just let your hand, just let it kind of fall limp, all right? So he felt something, but we didn't see anything. So let's turn it up.
You won't be going through again.
Does that hurt?
No, but it feels.
It feels what?
Ticklish.
Let's turn it up. Those of you in the front, Ms. Umflit. She saw something. Now we turned it up. Hopefully everybody will see something.
Oh, yeah. It's a 4. 4 out of 4.
4 out of 4. We are hitting train of 4. So whoever said that, we are hitting train of 4. But it's not in the thumb yet. Let's turn it up. Are you breathing?
Mm-hmm.
You can't twitch it yourself. No, I've got to twitch it. Just let your hand hold. It's hard to do. Just let it hold limp. All right, one more.
There you go.
All right, so everybody saw that? Yeah, that gets a hand. That gets a hand.
What was my threshold?
His threshold is 6. That's good. I mean, you're tough. Don't worry. You're a tough guy. 6 is good. I scream enough at 3, so 6 is good. All right. And leave those patches on. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. And you should try this on yourself just to see what it's like. All right. However, the caveat is what mode do you not use on yourself or on anybody who's essentially awake? Tetany. Now, all joking and fun aside, do not tetany an awake patient or fellow SRNA. Tetany can be extremely painful. Tetany is, you'll see on the next couple slides how much more stimulation it is than train of 4, and we had a non-breathing tense volunteer right here. So don't tetany yourselves. Okay. All right. The most common nerve muscle system is what we just did here, the ulnar nerve adductor pollicis muscle of the thumb. That you probably need to know. Now, unfortunately, and this happens all the time, the ideal is not demonstrated in reality, right? The ulnar nerve adductor pollicis goes over to the thumb. Now, don't make the rookie mistake of you put the patches near the thumb because you think it's some nerve near the thumb. I want the thumb. I put the patches near the thumb. That's wrong. The ulnar nerve goes here, and if you look, I don't have a picture, but if you look at the adductor pollicis ulnar nerve, the ulnar nerve comes here and goes across and stimulates the thumb like that. So the patches go over the ulnar nerve, and you all know that's in the pinky region, right? So that's the the ulnar nerve adductor pollicis muscle system. That's probably the most commonly used because the hands are often available intraoperatively. Facial nerve orbicularis oculi is another commonly monitored nerve muscle group. All right, very commonly. Facial nerve, where do you think the patch goes on Mr. Zellickson? Again, I'll show you in a second, Southwest. If I were to put this on a spatial nerve with negative, remember negative black nerve, where would I put it? Here, 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 here. I might click a little with that. Anybody else? Good. That's good. They don't matter. More. They don't matter. I'd say more here, unless you start moving up the arm. You'll see some people do that. Anyhow, the facial nerve, you think of it as fanning out from this area right here. You look at a diagram of it, fans out. Unfortunately, it's right where the male sideburn is. Okay, so you're gonna have to shave. We would put it right about there for the negative, and the other one just somewhere on the face or on the forehead. Okay, you'll see a lot of different areas of where electrodes are placed, and often you have to play around with it and replace them to get a better response. All right. So those are the two systems that you'll see. Again, remember negative over the nerve. The black lead, the negative should go over the nerve. A stimulus is applied and a muscle response is assessed. So let's talk about the stimulus a little bit now. It's delivered by a PNS, a peripheral nerve stimulator that you all buy at some point. In the ORs here, we went from a system of not having them to now we have them in all the rooms. It's not one that looks like that, but those who come to MCV for your first rotations, you'll see them in all the rooms. They're all very similar. There's slight differences, but the concepts I'm going to introduce here are all very similar across nerve stimulators. Critical components are two. There's pulse duration and pulse intensity. The duration has to be less than 0.5 milliseconds. That's a short duration to prevent repetitive neural firing or direct muscle stimulation. And all the stimuli, this is easy, all the stimuli across all the patterns of stimulation are all 0.2 milliseconds in duration. Now let's talk about the intensity. That's got to be a little bit, here we say 10 to 20%, a little bit above what's needed to stimulate all the fibers, right? Southwest, who's the specialist? Mr. Nishant. Nishat. Why do we want to stimulate a little bit more than that needed for stimulation of all the fibers?
You want to make sure you get a response.
A little better answer. You get to guess again. Up, time's up. You know the rules here. Next to Ms. Hammond, Ms. Sheridan. Why do you want a little bit above stimulation of all the fibers? Mr. Nishat, you had a chance. It was the answer's right in front of you. It's one of those questions of mine where the answer's right there. However, why do we want the same number of fibers consistently stimulated? This is kind of an important concept. Anybody?
Well, because what I remember from our physiology class is that we need the maximum recruitment of fibers to have equal contraction.
What do you mean by equal?
Well, if we are looking for certain response, we want to maintain the conditions equal, similar. So we won't have
absolutely
less contraction because of less recruitment of fibers?
Yes, we're going to be monitoring all kinds of changes in the response. Those changes are going to be due to differing blood levels, if you will, or more precisely synaptic cleft levels of paralytic. You don't want the changes in the response due to the fact that your stimulus is different each time. So you're controlling this in the experiment, if you will. How do you spell that name? Good answer.
Z like zebra. E-L-I-K-S-O-N.
Yeah, you have to. That's why we do a supramaximal stimulation, so that when you go from a certain response to less of a response or to more, those changes are due to the paralytic changes, not due to the nerve stimulator. Important concept. Very good. Oh, and we've got a student on the board. All right. Very good. Now, intensity, what do people do? This is very simple clinically.